Today, we're digging into a massive new policy from the real estate giant Zillow, a policy that, believe it or not, seems to have just vanished into thin air right after it was announced. Okay, so it all kicked off with this bombshell. See, Zillow had spent months talking up this huge new ban on private listings, a rule that absolutely sent shockwaves through the industry. And then, get this, they quietly admitted that it wasn't even being enforced in Chicago, one of the biggest markets in the country. So this begs the question, right? How can a policy that shook an entire industry not even be real? And more importantly, what does this whole mystery tell us about the bigger war being fought for control over how you buy and sell a home? Let's start right where this whole thing blew up, Chicago. You have to wonder, why would Zillow's massive new policies suddenly go dark in one of the most important real estate markets in the US? So Zillow made a huge deal about this new rule, officially called the Listing Access Standards. It was supposed to go live everywhere on June 30th. The idea was pretty simple. If a home was marketed privately first, it couldn't then show up on Zillow. But then, the company just kind of admitted that in Chicago, the policy wasn't active. Their official line? That Chicago was simply one of the very last markets for enforcement, a tiny detail that seemed to catch the entire industry completely off guard. Now, to really get why this is such a massive deal, we need to quickly break down the two kinds of listings at the very heart of this conflict. This right here is the core of the whole fight.
And this slide really lays out the conflict. You've got the public MLS on one side. That's what feeds sites like Zillow. It's open for everyone to see. But on the other side, you have these controversial private networks. Think of them like a velvet rope for real estate. It's an exclusive pre-market club where top agents can create buzz, test out pricing, and give their best clients a first look before a house ever hits the open market. This is the very system Zillow says it wants to blow up.
So Zillow's official line is that this ban is all about protecting you, the consumer. Their stated goals sounds great, right? Total transparency, a level playing field for everybody, and putting an end to those exclusive agent-only backroom deals. But as you're about to see, not everyone is buying that story.
But here's the thing. It turns out that telling hundreds of thousands of real estate agents across hundreds of different local markets how to do their jobs, well, that's a whole lot easier said than done. The reality of actually making this happen is incredibly complicated. And this is where Zillow's grand plan really hits a wall. As MLS expert Eric Stegeman points out, how on earth can you enforce this? I mean, just imagine two agents in San Antonio sharing a hot new listing over coffee. How does a tech company all the way in Seattle even know that conversation happened, let alone try to penalize them for it? The logistics are an absolute nightmare.
And look, this isn't just a Chicago problem, not by a long shot. Let's head down to another major market, San Antonio, Texas, where the gap between what Zillow says and what's actually happening gets even wider.
And this just perfectly illustrates the disconnect. When reporters asked, Zillow claimed their policy has been live in San Antonio since the summer. But when those same reporters talked to the local MLS, the organization that actually runs the database, they said there is no indication the policy has had any effect at all. It's a total contradiction.
Yeah, this quote from a board member of the local San Antonio MLS really says it all. The people on the ground, the ones who actually manage the data, they have no idea how Zillow could possibly keep tabs on its own rule across the entire country.
So this is way bigger than just confusion or a logistical headache. Zillow is facing a full-blown rebellion from some very powerful players in the real estate world.
The industry is fighting back on two major fronts. First, you've got the data gatekeepers, the local MLSs, like MRED in Chicago. They basically threaten to turn off the fire hose of listing data that Zillow absolutely needs to survive. Then you have the market giants, these massive brokerages like Compass, who literally took Zillow to court, accusing them of being a monopoly trying to crush the competition. And this is where the motive gets really interesting. Let's talk about Compass. At the exact same time Zillow announced its ban on private networks, Compass, its fast-growing billion-dollar rival, was busy building its own national private listing network. Coincidence? A lot of people in the industry think Zillow's policy was never about transparency, but was actually a tactical strike against its biggest competitor.
Okay, so why should you care about all this industry drama? Well, because the winner of this fight between a tech giant and the old-school real estate world could completely change how you buy or sell your next house.
Let's really break down what's at stake here. For agents, this could blow up a business model that's worked for decades. For you, the consumer, the question is crucial. Is this move a win for transparency, or does it actually limit your choices by killing off those pre-market opportunities a great agent can find for you? And on the biggest scale, this is nothing less than a raw power struggle for the very soul of the real estate market.
So, when all is said and done, this whole bizarre story of a phantom policy leaves us with one massive question. Is Zillow fighting a noble war for consumer transparency, or is this just a calculated move in a much, much bigger battle for total control of the housing market? The answer is far from clear.